What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at another tier list of goalkeepers because we have started to actually get a fair few different cards. Obviously the last one was prior to Team of the Year, so we didn't have Courtois or any of the Team of the Year icons, and obviously the introduction of future stars. And now we definitely have a definitive list. I feel like I've used quite a lot of these keepers, and to be honest, I think I found my favourite one, and that will be shared right at the end of this video. But today we're looking at some of the gold ones, which, to be honest, we've still got quite a few. I was very surprised that we actually have quite a few of the top keepers with no informs yet. We've got De Gea, Alisson, Ederson, Lloris, Neuer, and Oblak. All of the cards have not got an extra version as of yet. I am very surprised in all of them because, to be honest, it's not as if they've had a terrible run. Lloris at the moment is actually injured, and I was surprised he didn't get anything in the World Cup with obviously reaching the final. Doesn't seem to be having a great time at Tottenham at the moment, but again, has still pulled out some good performances week in, week out at times. Obviously Neuer as well, kind of really getting over that hype now. Again, we don't watch him week in, week out, so we can't say the entire season has been an absolute flop, but in general we've still not seen any informs from him. Same with De Gea, Alisson, Ederson. Liverpool obviously not having necessarily the greatest start to a season, but most definitely there has been games where I think he definitely could have got an inform, and that is normally the hard part with keepers. There's only normally one inform per week, plus missing out on the World Cup, which delayed it by 8 to 9 weeks, so we've literally had no time for an informed keeper. We have had Donnarumma, we have had Navas, who we'll get to, but to be honest, all of these gold cards are now kind of the sub to a lot of these top-end keepers. I feel like a lot of them are coming in relatively nice. I still do prefer a lot of them over, if we go something like that, I do prefer them in that sort of order. Alisson, Ederson have always been solid for me. Neuer, again, another one that I don't know why, he's just always done well. I don't know if it's just naturally how he is in game, but he has always been a better keeper than most. And with De Gea, Lloris and Oblak, again, some people would argue that they'd be in the topper tier, but for me, whenever I've used the difference between an Ederson and a De Gea and Lloris, we have used every single one of these keepers. De Gea was one of my started ones. Lloris came, I think, before him. And Oblak, I tested out for a few games just to know what I'm missing out on.
Are you tired of using players like this? I would much rather have teams more like this. Then I recommend going over to skycoach.gg for all of your coaching and coins needs. They are cheap, fast and reliable, but at the checkout make sure you are using code JT11 for a discount on your orders. Back to the video.
But alongside these, I think the heroes, to be honest, for me, have always been on the bottom tier. Dudek, at times, to be honest, has made relatively okay saves. To be fair, I'm going to go with that, just because whenever I've done him in draft, in general, we've managed to pack him 3 or 4 times from hero SBCs. He's always done okay. He's not necessarily been the great saver consistently, but he's done okay. Campos, personally, has never done well for me. I don't know if it's the height or just naturally who I'm coming up against when I'm using him. He just hasn't done very well, and whenever I've gone against him, long range shots just always go in. I don't know if that is Trevella's just being too meta for him, or it is personally the height in net that just doesn't work. Then we have Butland and Pope. Two very OP keepers, especially the nostalgic vibe. Butland from, I think, his FIFA 13 or FIFA 12 stint with obviously Stoke, and Pope, I don't know what it is. I think it is the height for him that just naturally works really well. Obviously his new move to Newcastle, he's going to be seeing him potentially reaching new ratings year in, year out, and he is having a wonderful season with the Toons, and honestly still a very, very top end keeper. For me, I will go with them two there, and then we move on to a team of the year. So in terms of Courtois, personally, I've always liked the Team of the Year goalkeeper. Year in, year out, it's the one we pack. It's the only one we actually packed this year. We didn't really try too hard as the wait was just absolutely crazy. But as long as I got one, that is all that mattered. And obviously, the goalkeeper tends to be the easier one out of the bunch. But if we look at him now, he is now the 5th most expensive goalkeeper at 410,000 coins. If you was to see him with such a high demand, with obviously the supply not necessarily being amazing, we saw a lot of people get him, but in general the Team of the Year demand, the supply was absolutely low as you can be. So the fact that if anybody got anybody, it was the goalkeeper, and the fact that he now is at such a low demand in price compared to icons and obviously Van der Sar Team of the Year, it's an interesting one to see. He is 96 and the highest rated goalkeeper you can get, so he's got to be on that top list purely for a rating purpose. As we know, goalkeepers are personal preference. There is very little difference between them, but we still do have my favourite goalkeeper to go. So if we look at a few of the informs, we have Donnarumma, we have a second inform Trapp, and we also have a first inform transferred Navas. He has made a move to Nottingham Forest, so we now have Navas in the Prem chemistry, which is always fantastic. He's always been a relatively solid goalkeeper, kept his rating very high, and again this year, I think he was, 88 to start with, I think he is. Pretty sure he's 88 because it was only a +1 upgrade, and I think, I think Trapp's actually got another upgrade from this. Navas is coming in at an 88, so obviously he's got a 1 upgrade, and I think Trapp actually has a 1 better version. So he has an 88, yes, he has an 89, so there's technically 3 informs, so this is not actually the best Trapp. We have an 89, which is just pretty much +1s across the board. We get +2 on the speed, so that is going to make a slight difference for him. I still don't think he's necessarily coming in incredible. Donnarumma would definitely come up there, and Navas with the new upgrade, and especially the chemistry links now, even though he did have the best of both, obviously being for PSG, still had incredible links to Marquinhos, Kimpembe, Hakimi, Messi, Mbappe, Neymar. You could just add the list going on. But now we've got a double version of either Prem or Ligue 1, depending on which version you want to go for. It's always going to be fantastic to see him. And in fact, we didn't even miss the ter Stegen. Gold ter Stegen's still not got an inform as well. He will go underneath everybody else also. But the cards that I wanted to see was obviously the Centurions. Szczesny and Gulaski, obviously Gulaski being the objective, Szczesny being in the team. Again, 2 players that really you don't see heavily. I feel like Szczesny definitely deserves a little bit more respect, but I think once we get a bigger upgrade from him, if that is a thing, obviously with Team of the Season, we're going to see a big influx of Team of the Season goalkeepers hitting their 90 pluses, which would probably be the next time that we do a goalkeeper tier list. As to be honest, after now, we're not going to have a big upgrade that's going to kind of change the list really. I can imagine we might see a couple of promos with 1 or 2 more goalkeepers, but realistically, there's not going to be another tier list until we get into that Team of the Season. So Szczesny will sit there, and we've got the final few, which are going to be the icons. Again, check, you could just go on bottom of the list. Never liked him. Doesn't work. It just does not work for me. May do for everybody else, but the amount of reviews, the amount of times I've used him year in, year out, he's never been incredible for me. I don't know what it is, it just doesn't work. Schmeichel, a little bit better. I'm going to go up into the B tier for him. Again, I feel like his mid and base version wasn't necessarily the best in the world, but his prime definitely gives him some sort of credit. Casillas, absolutely fantastic. Again, base, mid, prime, I've really enjoyed every version of him. We've actually packed every version bar from his base, which we did actually buy to give a review on. So if you want to check that on the channel, have a look at the end of the video. And Yashin coming in as the most expensive prime that you can get, coming in at a whopping 745,000 coins. Personally, I'm not going to buy him for that much, but most definitely if you do pack him, it's not a bad card to get if you are looking at goalkeepers. He technically has the most value, which is always perfect. And then if we go on order of oldest to newest, we are looking at Bono, and then we're looking at Milinkovic-Savic. Again, Milinkovic not really going to be in too high on there. Bono probably coming in the B. I feel like, again, he could have been upgraded that little bit more. 86 is nice, seeing as though he's from an 84. It's a double upgrade, but with keepers, I feel like they have a more right to go up that little bit more, because realistically, if we get an inform, it's normally only a +1, maybe a +2. When it's an outer performance based, and we know that it's very hard to get an inform, it might as well have been an 88 to put him in some sort of rank. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. Obviously then with Milinkovic, it's just not going to be there. We very, very rarely see him. It is nice to have the 99 speed, but again, it doesn't really add much value to the card personally. There's very little difference between what he can do and what any of these can actually do. It all comes down to traits, and it all just comes down to preference. That's really about it. We did get Martinez, who again, we did use a few times, and he's not a bad keeper, but I did think that he was going to be that little bit better personally. I've seen a lot of people not really fancying him too much, which is a shame, but he is a free card. I was kind of expecting it. And Mignan, actually in terms of value of what you can get, is not a bad card at all. We then have two future stars in Costa and obviously Mesler, I want to say is how you pronounce his name, but obviously the Leeds French goalkeeper as two very big future stars. And I think for me, both of them come in okay value. I feel like Mesler could come into that A, but I feel like he's just under that category of what I'm seeing between the A and the B. So I'm going to put him there, and we are on to the final one, that Van der Sar, personally for me, is the best keeper on the game. We have used pretty much, I'd say at least 90% of this list, other than maybe a few of the lower tiers like Milinkovic. We've used very, very few. A lot more of the topper tiers we've used for more games, whereas when we look at the lower tiers, I'm thinking I've used them 10 games max, maybe a little bit less on some of them if I'm looking at them in terms of being able to review them, or obviously just being able to put my 2 pence on them. But in terms of the top cards, Van der Sar has been an absolute gem. We managed to get Van der Sar first and Courtois the next day. We used Courtois for a few games, changed him out for Van der Sar personally for chemistry links, and honestly, he is absolutely elite. He just saves everything. Whenever I come up against him, which now is a lot more of the time, he's currently coming in as the most expensive goalkeeper at 880,000 coins, and he will save you so much. So Van der Sar is going to be my number one. I'd say Courtois Yashin's going to come in at second and third, and then the rest will follow in the list. So let me know down below what you think about the goalkeeper. Let me know your number one keeper and what you think about this list. Apart from that, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.